वन्दे गुरुपदद्वन्द्वम् अवाङ्मनसगोचरम् रक्तशुक्लप्रभामिश्रम् अतर्क्यम् त्रैपुरम् अहः विशुद्धिज्ञानदेहाय त्रिवेदी दिव्यचक्षुषे श्रेयः प्राप्तिनिमित्ताय नमः सोमार्धधारिणे नमो यामिनीनाथरेखालङ्कृत कुन्तलाम् भवानीं भवसन्तापनिर्वापण सुधानदीम्
ज्ञानदेहाय त्रिवेदी दिव्यचक्षुषे श्रेयः प्राप्ति निमित्ताय नमः सोमार्धधारिणे नमो यामिनीनाथ रेखालंकृत कुन्तलां भवानीं भवसंताप निर्वापण सुधानदी श्रीमद्दक्षिणकालिका शिरसितां तारांगणे अंसद्वये श्रीविद्या भुवनेश्वरी गता नाभौ स्थिता भैरवी छिन्ना मध्ये गता ऊरुजङ्गयुगले धूम्रा च पीताम्बरा मातङ्गी कमलाह्वये दशमयीं ध्याये पराम् अंबिका. So the session we will, or the topic that we'll cover during this session is the Dasha Mahavidya. So I do not know how it is possible to do Dasha Mahavidya in one session, but just an introduction, probably just to touch base with Devi and her aspect. But I really appreciate the way the topics have been chosen by Sri Bhuvaneshwari Foundation team, because every topic that they have chosen for the 5 day Satra, you can call this as a Jnana Satra. It's a kind of an yajna, is somehow intricately connected with Devi Kamakhya. This being the celebration of her Ambubachi Mahotsava. Anyone who has visited the Adya Pitha, the Kamakhya, they will know that the Nilachala Parvata in which Devi is present is also the abode of all the Dasha Vidyas or Dasha Mahavidyas. And if possible, uh, towards the end of the session, we will also see that there is a process which unfortunately not many are aware of in visiting these Dasha Mahavidya shrines in the Kamakhya. There is a proper paddhati itself which one has to follow uh, for the Kamakhya Darshana itself. Okay, so uh, I'm not sure. Let's see, or else during some other session, if there is some time available, we will try to consider that. So, main question: why Mahavidya, or what is Vidya in first place? We are all aware of the word Vidya used in multiple contexts, normally understood as education, even better knowledge. Now, both these senses are correct because we come across the term Aparavidya and Paravidya in the Upanishads. Aparavidya is a term which is used for all the material sciences, that which helps in understanding or in sustaining physical felicity. They are the Aparavidyas. And Paravidya is that which helps us in understanding the about oneself. Okay, so in the conversation between Sri Sanat Kumara and Narada, Sanat Kumara asks Narada Maharshi, this is in the Chandogya Upanishad, he asks Narada Maharshi What is it that you have learned? And Narada Maharshi, being Narada, he is Brahma's Manasa Putra, he feels very proud to roll out the list of the Shastras that he has mastered. He has not just learned, he has mastered. And the list is exhaustive. All the all the four Vedas, along with the Vedangas, the Ashtadasha Vidyasthanas, everything. Still, there is no chitta paryapti. There is no contentment in the mind. And then Sri Sanat Kumara, who was none but uh, Subramanya himself, or Lord Kartikeya himself, because where do we find this? Once again in Chandogya, towards the end, the declaration comes, Saskandayit abhidiyate, Saskandayit abhidiyate. Sanat Kumara is none other than Skanda. And very interesting episode, we will see that when we are considering the Navadurga uh, in the upcoming session. So, the Paravidya is that which helps us understand about our true nature in our true form. Whereas Aparavidya is about everything else. So, this is one. In the Tantra Agama uh, perspective, the word Vidya normally is used to denote any mantra whose presiding devata or deity is a Shakti. Stri devata kaha Vidya. Purusha devata ko mantraha. If the Adhidevata is a Puman, is a masculine devata, say for example the Panchakshara, then it is mantraha, Shiva Panchakshara mantraha. Whereas if the Adhidevata is Shakti or Devi, it is called as Vidya. Now, there are several Vidyas spoken of in the entire gamut of the Tantragama literature. Only few of these have some honorific prefix attached to it. Say, for example, Shri Vidya. Okay, so Shri Vidya is a special designation which is associated with that particular, for sake of convenience, let me use the word mantra, with that mantra. Similarly, for Vanadurga, the word Mahavidya is used. Bhaskar Raya in his commentary on Lalita Sahasranama, while commenting on the Nama Mahavidya, he mentions that the Vanadurga Vidya is called as Mahavidya. Then the 10 Vidyas are also designated as the Mahavidyas. Now, what is in the Tantragama perspective? How should we understand the Vidya or the Mahavidya? Mahavidyas are those which help us in achieving the moksha in the most structured and quickest form. Because Vidya is Sa Vidya Ya Vimuktaye. That which leads to Vimukti, that which leads to our recognition of our true nature, we call as moksha, mukti, that is the Vidya. And this is Mahavidya. Now, normally, with little understanding of Sanskrit, when the word Maha is added, we normally understand the Maha to be great, right? Maha is anything which is great. Atma, Mahatma, Purusha, Mahapurusha. So, Vidya, Mahavidya. This is one way of looking at it. But Tantra is highly cryptic and highly coded. One cannot settle down with whatever limited understanding we have about the language and be convinced that, okay, this is the meaning of the word. Because that is where Devi hides the truth within the words. The word Maha and Vidya, if you want to connect these, it's if you say it is a great Vidya, okay, um, then you will have to assume something as inferior Vidya and a great Vidya. All right, that's not the case. Because as per the Agamic code, all the 70 crore mantras, there are 70 crore mantras. Okay, all the 70 crore mantras are conscious entities. So please note, according to the Tantragamas, mantras are not merely sounds. They are not Shabda Rashi. They are not set of or collection of some phonemes, some sounds put together, having some meaning. Mantras are conscious divinities. Mantras is a conscious divinity. It's a class of conscious being whom Shiva or Shrikantha Rudra, if I have to use the correct one, has appointed in a place, okay, from where they guide the sadhakas to attain their or to realize their true and essential nature. All the 70 crore mantras have this as their essential function. Now, that will lead us to a very pertinent question. Then, why so many? Then, why so many? This why question is also answered in Netra Tantra. It says, each person is in a different stage of evolution. Each person has strayed away from his original nature in a different manner. So, because there is a variety of being, and these beings have a variety of their samskaras, okay, which they have accumulated over their previous janmas, each of them will require a different set of, what to say, hand holding, for which the mantras, okay, help. And then who decides? Who decides this person is capable of receiving this mantra, or this mantra works well for this person? The Shastras have answer for all our questions. It says, that is why you don't go to a guru and say, I want this mantra. You go and only surrender to Guru. Guru decides, okay, you deserve this mantra. Now here, the Guru Lakshana, as per the Shastra, Sishya Lakshana, as per the Shastra, if they are met, then we are talking of a working relationship. Okay? So it is the Guru who decides that this Shishya requires this mantra for his elevation, or this set of mantras for his elevation. So coming to understanding of the word Mahavidya, there is nothing inferior. So Maha, to be taken as great, okay, is not the idea with which the word Maha is used in the Tantra Agama. Then what is this thing? If you recall, yesterday we saw what Aham stands for. Aham stands for the evolution of the entire cosmic phenomena from Shiva all the way up to the Prithvi, encapsulated between, okay, Shiva and Shakti. So it's an evolution process. Okay, it's an evolution process. Now just reverse Aham. What will you get? Aham. Reverse it. M, H, A. You get the word Maha. you get the word Maha. Okay. Maha is the process of leading one back to his source. If Aham is reduction from supreme consciousness to individual consciousness, Maha is the process of realizing one's greatness as Parashiva himself. And the Vidya that ensures this most effectively is called as the Mahavidya. So Mahavidyas are all directed to channelize a person's effort to realize himself. The Pratyabhigyana of his Swarupa, recognition of his true nature. This is what the Mahavidyas do. Now, coming to the Mahavidyas as such, we know they are 10 in number. The set that we call as the Dasha Mahavidya. There is a very interesting legend behind the origin of these 10 forms. This particular legend we come across at least in two Puranas that I know of. There may be others also. There is something called Devi Mahabhagavata Purana. This is different from the Devi Bhagavata Purana, which is one amongst the 18 Mahapuranas. Devi Mahabhagavata Purana is an Upapurana. Okay. And in the Kalika Purana, we come across this narration of the origin of the Dasha Mahavidyas. And uh, it also lists not just the 10 uh, Mahavidyas, which is Dakshina Kalika, followed by Tara, okay, then Shodashi, then Bhuvaneshwari, then Tripura Bhairavi, then Chinnamasta, then we have the Dhumavati, then we have Bagalamukhi, then we have Matangi, and we have the Kamala. So these are the Dasha Mahavidyas. It also tells their origin. The story is like this. When Devi Sati started to go to the Daksha Yajna, Shiva was not very happy. So he stops, or because he knows that what is going to happen. So it's a kind of a premonition that Shiva has. That is why he stopped Sati Devi from visiting the Daksha Yajna. But playing, or because it is no, it's a Leela, because Tantra believes in the Leela Vada. Why do the Devatas act in a particular way? Not because they suffer from the imperfections of human beings, though when we read the story, it will look as if they are as imperfect as human beings in that particular instance. That action of the Devatas is not guided by the imperfections, but it is a kind of a play, it's a kind of a sport. It is a Leela. And this Leela is performed by the Devata in order to bring about, or in order to establish certain truths to the mankind. Because we understand through examples. You know why even the most difficult subjects becomes easy and clear when someone gives an example. It is because our mind always tries to gravitate from the known to the unknown. An example serves as that known entity which draws us, or which helps us understand or pull towards the unknown. So these leelas which the devatas perform is for us to understand the higher truths, okay, in a manner that we may probably connect and understand, right? So that is how a proper Pauranika understanding of the legends would be. So today, unfortunately, once again, we have to be very, very careful and wary when we are looking into the Puranas, or when we read the Puranas through the English translation lens, the inaccuracies that comes in is not just inaccuracy in the translations. The inaccuracy is also because of the approach taken by the people, because they are not trained in the Shastric methodology of understanding the texts. So, okay, anyway, coming back to the legend. So, when Shiva stops Devi Sati, she becomes extremely angry. And her rage, she is, she's so fiery and she's so angry that Shiva is unable to uh, bear the wrath, and he starts moving or running away in different directions. To be precise, there are 10 directions. Okay, 8 we know. There are 2 more, which is Urdhva and Adha, the up and the down. So 8 directions, the direction above, which is Urdhva, and the direction which is below. Totally 10 directions. So Shiva tries to run in all the 10 directions, and whichever direction he goes, he encounters one form of Durga Parameshwari, which is the Mahavidya. It also narrates which Devi manifested in which direction. Okay, so that may not be very pertinent right now, but just to give you this thing, it is based on the directions of the manifestations of the Mahavidya. The Kavacha of Kavacha is one set of uh, mantras, which is part of many of the uh, uh, mantric lore. What we do in the Kavacha is we invoke a particular Bijakshara or a particular Devata to protect a particular limb of one's body. Okay, there are some simpler Kavachas and elaborate Kavachas also. So in the Kamakhya Devi's Kavacha, we find that the directions, okay, the 10 directions, okay, where we are seeking protection correspond to the direction in which the Mahavidyas originate. Okay, so coming back to the thing. So this Mahavidyas, with a very small variation, we come across the same legend in the Kalika Purana also. But there it ends, okay? The details of the worship, the details of the mantra, and other procedures, we come across that in the set of tantras such as the Rudrayamala. So the details about the worship and others are found in the Mula Tantras. The origin legend is found in the Puranas regarding the Mahavidya. And while speaking about this, one has to remember that the Dasha Mahavidya are treated in these kavachas and other things as portals of 10 forms of energies, 10 dimensions of truths. Okay, 10 dimensions of truths, which may be a bit contrasting, okay, to show that there are no binaries. There are no binaries. Binaries is a completely Western concept. The Western concept of either something is right or something is wrong. We don't have that just two extremes marked. We have everything in between also taken into account. So when we understand this, the scheme of the Dasha Mahavidyas, we'll know that we are having the two extremes and everything in between also encapsulated within this. So mainly what do they bestow? One, we have seen that they bestow the knowledge of how one realizes one's true nature. Therefore, they are Mahavidyas. Apart from that, they also bestow the worldly benefits, the dharma, artha, and the kama also. Apart from the moksha, the dharma, artha, and kama is also one can derive from the sadhana of the Mahavidya. And more specifically, there are certain prayogas which we call as the Shat Karma prayogas. What are the Shat Karmas? Shat Karma is Marana, Uchchatana, Stambhana, Mohana, Vidveshana, and Vashikarana. These are the 6 karmas. What is Marana? Marana means causing death or destruction. Marana is causing death or destruction. Uchchatana. Uchchatana is causing a displacement, driving away. Okay? Displacing something, disturbing something. Stambhana. Stambhana means paralyzing. Stambhana means paralyzing, stunning, stupefying. We have Mohana, deluding, confusing. Mohana means deluding or confusing. Vidveshana. Vidveshana is causing a rift, causing a kind of a conflict between two entities, which is Vidveshana. Vashikarana is bringing under control, a kind of an enchantment. Okay? These are the Shatkarmas. Marana, Uchchatana, Stambhana, Mohana, Vidveshana, and Vashikarana. These are also got through the Mahavidyas. So immediately we should not conclude as many uh, learned people today that Mahavidyas are black magic and sorcery. Because the moment we hear the Shat Karmas, what triggers our mind is nothing but black magic. Okay? To demonstrate that it is not that, the same Devi Mahabhagavata, it shows the 6 as an effect, okay, which is created in Shiva during his process of running from one direction to the other. It says that Shiva is emotionally disturbed. He is mohita. These are the words which are used. Shiva becomes mohita. He becomes emotionally disturbed. He attempts to flee, running away. This Dravana or Uchchatana. Okay, there it uses the word Dravana, but it is similar to the Uchchatana. He's paralyzed. Okay, bewildered. So we have the Thambana, and finally he is brought under control, which is the Vashikarana. And this is the last, is the most important thing. The the Purana says all these changes that occurs in Shiva, okay, is not brought about by the anger or the wrath of the Devi, but because of her transformative compassion, her karuna. It is her karuna which causes all these in Shiva. Now, this should set us all thinking. What is the Purana trying to tell us? Here, Shiva stands as a representative of all the sadhakas. Shiva is not Shiva, not to be understood as Shiva, but there he is the sadhaka. Because Shiva is considered to be a sadhaka in the Shakta marga. Okay, so one has to attain the Shambhava Sharira in order to worship Devi. One has to shed this Bhuta Sharira and assume the Sharira of Shambhu, which is Shiva. Then alone you can fit to worship Devi. You cannot directly go and worship Devi. So Shambhu or Shiva is the highest sadhaka. So what is that the Devi brings about in a sadhaka? These, that is being emotionally disturbed. Mohanam. Mohanam is all this while we are considering the world in which we are living to be the ultimate experience, to be the ultimate truth. Now, when the grace of Devi falls upon the sadhaka, he sees that there is something higher. He may not know what it is. Okay? But he feels a pull towards something which is higher. But at the same time, he is in the world. Okay, so he is confused whether he should gravitate towards the world and his old lifestyle, or should he pursue, okay, his sadhana, okay, or move towards something higher, rise above his normal activities and experiences. This is the mohana, which is the result of her anugraha or karuna or grace. He attempts to run. He attempts to run. Running away, he tries to run all the 10 directions only to find Devi everywhere, right? Now, this is the essential worldview of the Tantragama. You cannot run away from the world in order to attain moksha. Because the world is nothing but the manifestation of Devi herself. So, where will you run? Everywhere you run, you are going to see her only. If the entire world is Shiva or if the entire world is Devi, there is no place to run. And there is no need to run. That is the most important thing. You can still be in this world and experience her. This is the, what we can say is, this is the USP of the Tantra Marga. That you don't have to escape. You don't have to believe that this is an illusion kind of thing. This is as real as Shiva himself. All you need to do is have a kind of a shift in the perspective, which is also something that one attains because of the grace of the Devi and through the sadhana that he performs. So this running away does not take him anywhere. Okay? He's paralyzed. All these are different stages of the sadhanas. So these are the actual Shat karmas. Okay, these are the actual Shat karmas from the Maha Vidya point of view. And to understand all this, one has to be very, very clear that this Mahavidya sadhana in the Tantragama Sampradaya, or this thing, is a properly laid down procedure. Like I was mentioning yesterday, Deeksha is the most essential stepping stone for every sadhaka to enter into this sadhana, to enter into any Tantra sadhana, approaching through a guru. Because only then the Shaktipata takes place. The guru connects through the process of the Deeksha, okay, through a kind of an live stream of consciousness which has been passed on through the generations. That is why the guru has to be a Sampradayika guru, a guru who has come down in a Sampradaya, who has come down in a proper lineage. That is why every Guru Parampara, you will see that it will trace all the way back to either Dakshinamurti or Ananda Bhairava, okay, or Dattatreya. So, the very first Guru in the Sampradaya ensures this Shaktipata takes place. Okay, so this is like the wire which has to be connected all through. Okay, so that is why the Sampradaya is important for the flow of the grace, flow of the Anugraha Shakti. And then there is a stage for attaining Mahavidya. No one directly receives the Mahavidya mantra in the first go, at least not in the normal uh, procedure. There may be exceptions. The Guru can make exceptions in case of in case he sees that the disciple is extremely um ready for that. He can do that. But normally there is a preparatory stage. Okay, what is the preparatory stage? The preparatory stage is the tapasya. One has to be ready to receive the Mahavidya. Okay, so without being ready, approaching these transmissions is like attempting to touch a live lightning with a bare hand. Doesn't happen. You will not be able to uh, bear uh, the the flow of that grace from her. And now, I think I can safely make this remark in this closed group that with all that popularization of the mantras and other things happening on the social media platforms, it sort of signals a kind of a revival of interest, but it is also having a pitfall. No, there is a serious distortion of information also, which is happening on these social media platforms. No, um, viewing Kali as a kind of an feminine rage or empowerment. No, if you see many of the posts, you will find this. The Kali is personified as the ultimate feminine power. Okay, Um and using the bija mantras randomly without even understanding where and how it should be used. Um, Understanding Tara, understanding Dhumavati as dark goddesses, okay, malefic goddesses, not having proper reverence for rituals. No, because we have an very um, standard remark that you hear. See, I am not religious. I am only spiritual. I am not religious, but I am spiritual. अच्छा ठीक है okay you be spiritual don't come to this marg no you we have one expression ardham pakaya ardham prasavaya that doesn't work if you are having an egg either allow the full egg to hatch into a chick or break the egg and make an omelette out of it. You cannot have half the egg for hatching and half the egg for omelette. So if you are following the tantra marga, follow it to the full. Because who is giving you this information about Mahavidya? It is a Mula Tantra which is giving you the information. So you cannot partially choose what is convenient and partially leave behind that which you see as inconvenient. That is why these Mahavidyas are all to be handled, to be received as an anugraha from one's guru only, not anywhere else. That is one. Second pitfall is, at least I know few people who say that they are practicing multiple Mahavidyas. Are one Mahavidya, one cannot sufficiently spare enough time and energy in this lifetime to master. If someone says he is doing multiple Mahavidya sadhanas, then he is, as the Yoga Sutra says, he is having a vikshipta mind. No, he is having scattered mind. He is not going to be focused anywhere. It doesn't happen. Yes, there in, for example, even in our Sampradaya, we do get the other Mahavidya mantras, but all these Mahavidyas are treated as the manifestation of that primary Mahavidya who is the Upasya in the Paddhati. So here I would like to just take you back to the shloka that uh, I had uttered at the beginning of this thing. Srimad Dakshina Kalika Shirasi. So the personification of Devi Tripura Sundari, who is the Upasya Devata of our Paddhati, Dakshina Kalika is the Shiras, is her head. Okay? Tara Gale. The neck portion is Tara. Amsadvaye Shri Vidya Bhuvaneshwari. Hridigata. Nabhau Sthita Bhairavi. In the Nabhi Desha is the Bhairavi. Chinna Madhye Gata. Chinnamasta is the Katibhaga. Okay. Puru Janga Yugale Dhumraja Pitambara. The Janga Yugala, the two thighs are Dhumavati, and Pitambara is nothing but Baglamukhi. She is yellow in complexion. Okay. Matangi Kamalakwe Dashamayim Dhyaye Paramambika. So the Dasha Mahavidyas are the sum total of that Upasya Deva. This approach is okay because you are seeing all the other Mahavidyas as part or as a manifestation of one Devata. So you are still focused on one Upasya Devata. And you are seeing the others as a manifestation of that Upasya Devata. So this type of sadhana works. But at the same time, the sadhana of any Mahavidya requires intense tapasya, intense shraddha, faith, not just blind belief, but a kind of a deep alignment to the cause, deep alignment with the teachings. Okay, and most importantly, nishtha. Nishtha is commitment. Commitment to whatever one's Sri Guru has instructed, whether it is regular japa, regular homa, regular upasana, whatever is the instruction. That nishtha is very important. The commitment is important. Not only commitment to that, having extreme shraddha towards one Guru. So, this Guru Bhakti or Guru Nishtata, that is also very, very important. You have to surrender yourself completely. Okay. Because your Guru has to be seen not just as a physical embodiment, but he is the one who has already walked the fire before you. So, Guru is that. And Guru is the personification of the Devata. Even now, the Sampradaya says that if you cannot conceptualize the dhyana shloka at the time of doing a japa, because japa means you have to visualize the devata. Okay, some devatas are very, pardon me for saying this, easy to visualize. Some devatas are slightly difficult to visualize. So say for example, if you have to visualize Mahaganapati with 10 hands, okay, now which weapon is on the top right? You have to remember in the same order. In the left, you have to remember that in the right. Everything you have to remember at the time of japa. If you find it very difficult, then it says, don't worry, just remember the face of the Guru at the time of the Deeksha. That is enough. So the Guru is the Devata personified. So having this surrender to Guru like this alone would make one successful in the Mahavidya sadhana. Otherwise, it doesn't have any effect or any desired effect. Rather, uh, without having proper mantra prayoga or doing mantra prayoga without having proper adhikara. No, adhikara is having the eligibility to perform that mantra. It is like touching the fire, okay, without knowing its heat. Now, this is the analogy with Paramananda Tantra uses. Touching the fire without knowing its heat. You know why I like this analogy very much? when someone touches the fire, okay, the fire is not burning your hand because the fire is angry at you. Okay, your hands are getting burnt not because the fire wants to burn your hand, not because the fire is angry at you, but it is the nature of the fire to burn. And you are burning your hand because of your indifference to your readiness. So, improper use of Mahavidya mantras, okay, giving negative effects to the person is not because of anger of Devi. It is because your indifference to the preparedness required to handle her. So, keeping all this in mind, when we approach the Mahavidya, they become the channels of anugraha, channels of grace. So, quickly, let us try to know each of these Mahavidyas very briefly. So, I'm not going to follow the order in which normally the Mahavidyas are enlisted. I'm going to follow an order wherein the Mahavidyas are classified under two divisions or two sections. One is called as the Kali Kula, the second is called as Sundari Kula. So the five Mahavidyas come under Kali Kula and five Mahavidyas come under the Sundari Kula. Okay, so let us see the Kali Kula Mahavidyas first. As the name suggests, the first Devata will be Sri Dakshina Kalika herself. So the word Kali comes from the dhatu kal, to categorize, to calculate. So she is personified as the one who is beyond the time, Kala. Okay? All the Kali Kula Devatas normally denote the process of what we call as involution. Involution means the process where the sadhaka is going back to is directly led back to his true nature, okay, swiftly. He is taken back to his true nature very swiftly. So Kali is, when you look at the form of Kali, okay, which is dark in complexion, having four arms. She holds in one hand the Khatwanga, a kind of a scimitar or a sword, bit differently shaped sword. Okay, that is why it is Khatwanga. No, sorry, not Khatwanga, Khadga only. Khadga. Then she holds a munda in the hand, a severed head. Then there is an Abhaya and the Varada Hasta. Okay, Abhaya is the mark of fearlessness, and Varada is the mark of granting boons. So this is the normal iconography of Sri Dakshina Kali. There are many variants there also, so let's not go into the detail. And she is standing over Mahakala, or actually sitting over Mahakala. Okay, not even standing. She's actually sitting over Mahakala, who is lying over Sadashiva. And Sadashiva is lying over the four, that is Brahma, Vishnu, Rudra, and Ishvara. So, Dakshina Kali personifies the withdrawal, the stage of withdrawal. And she wears Mundamala in her. And this Mundamala consists of 50 severed heads or skulls. Okay, a garland of 50 skulls around her. This is and the hair are, the hair is let loose. And she is in the cremation ground. She is in the cremation ground surrounded by jackals. And so what is all this. This is the process, like I said, process of involution. You are going back. In the process of going back, what are you doing? If you understand this, the other Mahavidyas you can easily interpret this. Brahma, Vishnu, Rudra, and Ishvara, who are supposed to be doing the Srishti, creation, Sthiti, the stasis, okay, Samhara, Tirodhana, hiding, Sadashiva, the Anugraha, all of them are now no longer required. Why are they not required? They are not required because Kali is going to lead you from actively involving yourself to a state where you have the potency to act, but you will not act. Okay, you have the potency to act, okay, as supreme chit or supreme consciousness, but you will not be acting out of some pre-volitions, okay, because of the karmic or the because of the influence of the malas or kind of things. So these become inactive. So they are the pancha preta. They become pancha preta. Preta is corpse. Mahakala himself becomes the corpse. Mahakala himself becomes the corpse. That is beyond time. Okay, so she is beyond the time herself. And the mundamala which is she is wearing around her head, once again, remember it is 50. So recall what we saw yesterday. 50 denotes the 50 letters. 50 denotes 50 letters. Now, why are they mundas? Okay, lifeless skulls. When you are in active creation, in the creation, before something physically appears, it will come in an ideation stage. Say, for example, you want to write a poem. Before you have written, okay, using whatever script on a paper, or you have, before you have uttered that, okay, through the physical speech, the poem you are ideating in your mind. We use this term called mentalese. Okay, it is in a language which is a mental language. Now there is something preceding this also. Okay, even the proper uh, uh, construction of the thoughts precedes an abstraction of the thought. The very fact that you want to come up with something to write in a form of an abstraction. So, first, there is a thought level, okay, before it becomes actionable. Now, for thought, you will require words to think, okay, ideas. You have to give words for the ideas which you will express using uh, speech or writing and kind of things. So that is why the thought creation or the Shabda Srishti precedes the Artha Srishti or the physical creation as per the Tantragams. Okay, so that's physical creation in the process of creation. Okay, these thoughts follow the Artha. Sorry, the Artha follows the thought. Now we are reversing. Okay, so when you are reversing it, the thoughts have ceased. The artha is no longer there. The thoughts are also no longer there. Okay. Only that which is beyond the time, beyond the mind. Okay. That state of pure consciousness, which is represented by Kali, exists. Therefore, the words which assumes or words which are or the thoughts which are represented by the letters are shown as munda, lifeless heads in the neck of or around the neck of Dakshinakala. So, similarly, the next Mahavidya is Tara. Now, Tara, I'll just speak about the specialities and move on. The Tara, uh, each of the Mahavidyas have one Bhairava other than Dhumavati. all the nine Mahavidyas have a corresponding Bhairava, corresponding consort. Okay. Tara's thing is Akshobhya, and he is in the form of a snake, okay, which is depicted on the head of Tara. What is Akshobhya? That which is not perturbed, that which is not mutated. So, Akshobhya or Tara represents the form of reaching a state of pure consciousness from where you will not undergo any mutation, any transformation. That is Tara for you. And how does she achieve? She does that by cutting away all the unwanted vikalpas or all the unwanted uh, thought constructs which has led to the confusion in you, believing that the world is what it appears to you. It is real, no doubt, but it is not what it appears. So that cutting off is shown by a special device which she holds in her hand, which is Kartari. She has a set of scissors, okay, in her hand. So once she cuts off, there is the blue lotus also, which she holds, showing the blossoming of the jnana or the blossoming of the true understanding. So she is Tara because she helps you cross. Through Tarane is the Dhatu. So Tara Tarini, she helps you go across. Then we have Chinnamasta. Chinnamasta, we know you have one Chinnamasta Devi, okay, and accompanied by uh, two of the yoginis standing on each, drinking a stream of blood which is flowing because she is holding her head in the hand which she has severed herself. That is why she is Chinnamasta, one who has cut her own head, and she is holding the hand, so holding the head in her hand. So there are three sprouts or streams of blood which is flowing, one to the left, one to the right, and one from the middle. The middle one is being drunk by her own head. The left and the right are being drunk by two of the other yoginis. Clearly is the yogic representation of Ida, Pingala, and the Sushumna Nadi. The left is the Ida, the right is the Pingala, and the Madhya Nadi is the Sushumna. So if she drinking her own blood, okay, is when you cut off individual identity, no, your identity, which is we call in the Tantragamas as the Anava Mala. When you cut off the Anava Mala, okay, which again happens only by her grace, okay, you can do the other two malas, which is the Karmika and the Mayika Mala. The Anava Mala has to go only by the grace of Shiva or Devi. When she removes the Anava Mala, you are no longer an individual, okay, which you have identified yourself. I am Ramachandra Shekhar, capable of doing this, that. Okay, no, you are no longer that. You have lost your identity. And at that stage, you are partaking the bliss of consciousness, okay, which is represented by that middle stream of blood, which is the flow of the Kundalini, okay, which reaches the this Asra. So this is the of Chinnamasta. Then we have the Tripura Bhairavi. She's shown seated on Panchamunda Asana. Okay, an asana which is made of five skulls. Once again, it is the Pancha Krityas only. Srishti, Sthiti, Samhara, Tirodhana, and Anugraha. And we have the Dhumavati. So Dhumavati is very misunderstood deity. I'll just spend a minute or two on that. So Dhumavati is what remains after the fire has burnt is smoke. Okay. So Dhumavati is one who is endowed with smoke. That's the name meaning of the name Dhumavati. So Dhumavati is the smoke that remains after the fire has burnt through everything. So she is that phase of reality when all the illusions, comforts, and the thought constructs have all fallen away. One who remains is Dhumavati. She is the barren one. There is nothing. Okay. That is why she sits on a chariot with nothing to pull. Otherwise, you'll require an horse or something to pull your chariot, right? Her chariot is not pulled by anyone. Okay, because she is the soul. So there is uh, no scope for Srishti, no scope for Sthiti, no scope for any of the Panchakritya, because there is a complete cessation. That complete cessation, that Mahashunya Avastha, okay, which the yoga, the Tantra, the Shiva Yoga calls, is represented by Devi Dhumavati. That is why Dhumavati sadhana is not recommended by or not recommended for everyone. It requires a very high level of strength in the sense mental strength to even practice uh, the Vidya of Dhumavati. So normally it is not given to a householder and kind of thing. It is because of what she or what this sadhana actually does. It's a very quick sadhana for attaining this particular state. Then comes Bagalamukhi, who is the Stambhana. Okay, so Bagalamukhi is one who stops the movement. It's a stilling force. So that she is shown by dragging the tongue of the demon. Okay, tongue represents speech which is malevolent or speech that colors or thoughts that colors the reality. Okay, so it's like having a flower behind a crystal. Crystal may be colorless, but if the color of the flowers keep changing behind this thing, the crystal appears to be red, blue, violet, whatever it is. So this coloring, okay, is the thought, are the thoughts, okay, which we call as the vikalpas, which she stills. Okay, so that is what Bakla does. Then coming to, yeah, we have already come to the Sundari Karma. So, Sundari Karma, Tripura Sundari or Lalita Maha Tripura Sundari or Shodashi, because 16 represents the full kalas, okay, having been or having that full manifestation. Okay, so Shodasha Kala. So she is Shodashi, and normally whom we call as the Kamakshi or Lalita, okay, is Tripura Sundari, and she is the presiding. And from here, it is Srishti Pradhana. So she represents the Srishti. So just to clarify here, that does not mean that the Upasana of Tripura Sundari will make you more entangled in the universe. That's not the that's not how it is. If you know the path that you have taken from your house, then you will know how to retrace the paths back to the house. See, you were living somewhere. From there, you started off and you strayed away from the house. If someone tells you, okay, try to recall what are all the landmarks. I recall, okay, first I encountered a big banyan tree. Then there was this red color house. Then there was this black color gate. So if you recall the paths taken, okay, till where you have landed, you will be able to take that path back to the source. This is what the sadhana of Tripura Sundari does. And this is why it is easier because you know the path that you have taken. You know the path that you have taken. And therefore, Sundari Upasana is more comfortable for Pashu Jivas like us. Okay? Who are so mired with the worldly thoughts. Whereas for the Kali Kula, you have to be a Veera Sadhaka. Okay, you have to be someone who's completely dispassionate because a small slip will ensure a great fall there. Okay, here it is safe. No, we call as the Parashurama Kalpa Sutra calls it as Raja Marga. It is like a royal no road. You can very easily and comfortably walk, and you will still reach the place. So Shodashi. Then we have the Bhuvaneshwari. Okay. Um, Chaturhasta. So four hands, Pashamsha, Varada, and Abhaya. So Bhuvaneshwari. Then we have Matangi. One aspect of Matangi is that Matangi is considered to be the Adhidevata for all the fine arts. Okay. And also that she is worshipped in the most, uh, in the manner which is not considered very orthodox. Okay. Which shows that she is honored not merely through sticking uh, uh, to orthodoxy, but mostly by inner alignment. Okay, one has to be very sincere. How will someone master fine arts? You cannot do that just because somebody has asked you. You cannot be a very good singer because your parents are forcing you to be a good singer. Unless you are completely tuned inside, okay, you cannot be a good performing artist. For that matter, any performing arts. Okay, so that is why Matangi reminds all of us, okay, that to reach, you have to first commit yourself to that particular sadhana. Last is Kamala. Okay, the word Kamala means lotus. So she is like Lakshmi. Okay, what does Kamala represent? Kamala represents that if the roots run very deep, then you can enjoy the flower of dharma. In order to enjoy the flower of dharma, your roots have to run very deep. That's exactly what happens to a lotus, right? The lotus stalk run all the way to the bottom or to the bed of the pond or the lake. And the lotus blooms outside. For the lotus to bloom, the roots have to be established and it has to run very, very deep. So, a sadhana of Mahavidya Kamala reminds us that the abundance is not merely in the physical prosperity, but is to be unstained while living in the prosperity. Okay, enjoying both the material wellness, the bhoga, but aligned towards moksha, grounded in the dharma. With all this, okay, so the Dasha Mahavidya, they can be seen as 10 different forms of the sadhana, or they can also be seen as a kind of a journey, okay, a stages of an sadhaka's journey, wherein Kali breaks the ego, Chinnamasta offers, okay, herself. Dhumavati accepts impermanence. Tripura Sundari joys, delights in beauty. So they are not remote. They are all within us. Just as Shiva experienced the different stages, okay, of the sadhana, different forms of graces of the Mahavidya, we can all do that, okay, provided we follow the proper initiatory path shown by the Shastra. So, with this, we close today's session. Dhanyavad.